left in the southern hemisphere due to Earth's rotation. So what happens when wind is traveling from polar regions towards the tropical region, because the pressure is low in the tropical regions, and high pressure winds move towards the tropical zones. So when they come from the northern region and they are coming towards the tropical region, they will tend to deflect towards the right in the northern hemisphere. And when they find the low pressure zone, so they tend to move inwards, and that's how they move in the anti-clockwise direction in the northern hemisphere, and in the southern hemisphere they move in the clockwise direction. So what are the requirements for a cyclone to develop? So basically it requires a low pressure zone and a high pressure wind coming from the colder regions. So in the tropical region, we know that the tropical regions are warmer than the temperate or polar regions. So we have warm ocean waters, at least 26.5 degree minimum temperature at the depth of 50 meter it is required, so that it can get the moisture and also the disturbance which is required. Tropical atmosphere that cools rapidly with the vertical heights and transforming stored heat from warm ocean waters into thunderstorm activity that fuels the development of the tropical storm. It is that process which develops this tropical storm. Moist layer at mid troposphere elevation up to 5 kilometers or 3 miles that enhance the thunderstorm formation. The presence of near surface organized and rotation system characterized by spin and low level inflow. Convergence is required. Significant Coriolis force, as we know that it works on Earth or due to Earth's rotation, so it's there. Minimal vertical wind shear, strong crossward varying altitudes that can slice apart the towering vortex of the cloud mass. So how do cyclones form? I have already told you the basic requirements for cyclones to develop. Whenever there is a low pressure zone area, the high pressure wind will come and it will start swirling around, and the due to conduction and convection currents, the clouds will form, and this process goes on and on and on, and the thunderstorm is formed. So this is how the cyclones are formed. And in mature tropical storm, when tropical storm intensifies, the air rises in vigorous thunderstorms and tends to spread horizontally in the tropopause level. So the height of a storm is about 18 kilometers long high, and it is entirely in this troposphere. Once it is spread out, the perturbation pressure at the high level is produced, which accelerates the downward motion of the air due to the convection. With the inductance of subsidence, air warms up by the compression, and the warm eye is generated. So it's a feature of a mature cyclone that eye is clearly visible, and the eye is of basically three shapes: circular, concentric, and elliptical. The main feature of the mature tropical cyclone in Indian Ocean, its concentric pattern of highly turbulent giant cumulus thunderstorm band. So, and the last stage of cyclone is modification and decay. So when a cyclone enters in the land region, where it makes its entry on the land, this point it's called landfall, and it's the point where its moisture supplies is cut off, so it reduces its intensity. And it doesn't mean it will not create havoc, but it is still disastrous, but it's like its intensity is somehow reduced and it's weakened. So these are the regions where the cyclones are formed, tropical cyclones are formed in Indian Ocean, and So and also the seasons when they are formed. June to December they are found in this region, and November also. As we know that we recently faced two cyclones, Nivar, and one was in this Arab Ocean. So these are the cyclone prone areas in our country. Eastern coast is highly vulnerable as compared to the western coast. So what are the worldwide terminologies? These are the same tropical storms named by different countries on their on the on because of their different languages and how they perceived it, how they named it. It's different for other countries. Like they are known as tropical cyclones in our country, while in Western Pacific Ocean they are known as typhoon, but they are same things. Uh, Now, the classification of tropical storms. Due to the level of pressure and wind speed, they are characterized differently by World Meteorological Organization, and the same system has been adopted by Indian Meteorological Department. So it will be known as low pressure zone if the wind speed is less than 31 kilometer per hour, and it will be super cyclone if the wind speed is more than 221 kilometer per hour. So cyclones are classified into 5 different levels on the basic of wind speed. They are further divided into following categories. Category 1, when the wind speed is 120 to 150 kilometer per hour, and the damage capacity is also given, that it will be of minimum damage capacity. But if you see that cyclone of 5 category, it will be the wind speed will be more than 250 kilometer, and it will be a catastrophic type of cyclone. So what are the hazards associated with cyclones? As we know that cyclones are not, it's not the cyclone that create more havoc, it's the after effects of it's the hazards related to it. For example, storm surge. The storm surge is an abnormal rise in the sea level near the coast caused by a severe tropical cyclone. As a result, the seawater inundates the low-lying areas of the coastal region and drowning the human beings and livestock, and eroding the agricultural fields, beaches, and embankments, destroying vegetation and reducing the soil fertility. So these are the after effects of a cyclone. It will create havoc in the human areas. The strong winds. This is the most destructive force of the cyclones. It's coming from these fierce winds. They uproot the entire human civilization and societies. And also, in the recent cyclone Amphan, they have created havoc in the mangrove regions. Floods. So heavy and prolonged rain, they will accompany by the floods, and flood and the coastal inundation due to storm surge. They also pollute the drinking water resources, and also they can cause outbreak of epidemics. Long after the cyclone has passed, and cyclone has passed, road and rail transport can also be blocked by flood waters. Waters often become contaminated by dead animals, rotten foods. People are threatened with diseases like diarrhea and other infections. So, how can we manage a tropical cyclone? We cannot stop the hazards, natural hazards, but we can we can prepare ourselves so that we can face these challenges. So the main portion is important thing is early warning system. Our early warning system must be strong enough so that people can be warned and they can evacuate the low lying areas and go to the go to safer areas. As growing of the depression into cyclone, it takes considerable time. So we can forecast and monitor the path of the cyclone through various technological inputs. IMD is working in this field, and we get warnings from the IMD, and so that we can evacuate the people from the low-lying areas, and SDRF team can reach there on time. So it was how it came into existence. The Great Britain cyclone of 1737 was the first cyclone to be recorded with mass casualties, and there are other major cyclones as well. So after that, there was a establishment of Indian Meteorological Department in 1875. In October 1864, the cyclone warning system was also established. After Orisha's super cyclone of 1999, where we lost 10,000s of people, an additional watch period of 72 hours was introduced, and with the regular 48 and 24 hours. Because if we know about the cyclone 3 days in advance, we have better time to prepare ourselves. So these are pre-watch warning, cyclone alert, cyclone, and post landfall outlook. They are generated 72 hours, 48 hours, 24 hours, and 12 hours before the cyclone. So different color codes means that different color codes mean different warnings. Such as cyclone alert will be given by yellow, and cyclone warnings will be given by orange, and so on and so forth. So what are the mitigation and preparedness measures that can be taken for to save ourselves and mitigate its impact on human life loss? Mitigation means the measures that are taken prior to the disaster struck. Or these measures might include hazard mapping, land use planning, engineered structures, and retrofitting of non-engineered structures, cyclone shelters, flood management, and improving vegetation cover, mangrove plantation. It is very important, and raised embankments or levees. Artificial hills, mounds can be created, public awareness generation. These are all methods. I'm going to talk a few of them about. I'm going to talk about few of them. So what is a hazard mapping? It represents the represents the results of cyclone hazard assessment on the map, showing the frequency and probability of occurrence of various intensities or durations. What happens? The IMD has data of previous cyclones of about like more than 100 and 200 years. So they generate, like, they have this idea that these areas have already been struck by it, and these areas can also be struck by it, by cyclone. So they predict, and they create a hazard map. I'll show you. So this is a cyclone hazard zone of India. You can see these areas are very highly at high risk, and this is also, but comparatively the western coast is less vulnerable as compared to the eastern coast. So it is useful to estimate the severity of the cyclone and potential damage intensities in the region, and it is prepared with the inputs of the previous past climatological records that are given by IMD. And land use planning. So it should be systematically considered for cyclones, so that least critical activities to be placed in the vulnerable areas. What will happen if we know that these areas are more vulnerable? We will assign them for different activities like parks and grazing grounds. We won't create human habitation on those areas, so damage can be reduced. Now the engineered structures. Structures are built by engineering with the help of engineers, and to withstand the wind forces, and also on lesser above the ground, so that flood water cannot reach your houses. And the public infrastructure should be engineered structures, such as your public buildings and community centers. These are the places which should be engineered. The people should be encouraged to construct the engineered structure for their villages, and government has a major role to play in this part. Now, retrofitting of the non-engineered structure. We know that several places are not like village rural areas where there are non-engineered structures are there, and the people who are living there, locals, the local artisans, they take part in the construction and retrofitting of the buildings in their locality, so they can amend their buildings before the cyclone season comes. For example, they can bind their rooftops, and also plants can be planted near your house, so that wind force can be cut off, and you can save your property. Now, the cyclone shelters. These are necessary for the areas that are vulnerable to recurrent cyclones, such as especially eastern coast and Andhra Pradesh for that matter. Uh, the construction requires substantial funding, and therefore generally linked to a support from government and external donors. Also, it involves the technical and engineering components, which are usually beyond the capacity of the community. So the government has to intervene and provide better facilities in that sense. Site selection should be appropriate. The area should not be in the hazard zone. Sorry. Consideration also needs to be given that not only the shelter provision during the disaster, but to water supply, food storage, shelter for livestock should also be there. Like livestock should also be saved. This is one multi-purpose cyclone shelter house. It was it's in Nellore, and it was given to a self-help group in 2018. Now, the flood management. Flooding will be the result of cyclonic storm, as we have already known. As we now already know, storm surge will flood the coastal areas, and heavy rains will bring the flash floods. So, embankments along the rivers, sea walls along the coast may be created, so that they can keep the water from entering into the low-lying areas or the human habitations. So these are the raised embankments generally created to differentiate, to stop water from entering in the human habitations. Public awareness generation, like we are doing right now. We are generating awareness among the masses. So it's through education. Education is the key of saving many lives. Most of the damage to the life and livelihood are due to the lack of public education and awareness. So public awareness can be generated through various means, such as training programs, banners, posters, display boards, skill boards. So many methods are there. Cyclone preparedness plan. The states which are vulnerable or prone to these disasters, they must have their plan. So plans of disaster management preparedness and response plan. So this is one plan I found on GSDMA, Gujarat State Disaster Management Authority. They have created their plan in 2014. There is an important need of comprehensive cyclone preparedness and response plans at all levels in order to enhance the preparedness to save lives and livelihoods. And standard operating procedures are there to follow at the time of the cyclone struck. As the community is the first responder in any disaster, the focus should be on training and preparing the community. So, as Sanjay sir were talking yesterday, community capacity building is must. So, what are the ecosystem-based cyclone disaster risk reduction? It aims at integrating disaster risk reduction and climate change adaptation to reduce the impact of cyclone. When we plant or save mangroves, what we are doing, we are not just mitigating the impact of cyclones, but we are also controlling and mitigating the impact of climate change, because mangroves also sequester carbon dioxide from the environment, and thus reducing the carbon dioxide level in the atmosphere. And ecosystem based approaches to DRR offer very good alternatives and a complement, because they are often already a part of livelihood strategies. You know, many tribals are dependent on these mangroves in the West Bengal region and Odisha region for their livelihood, and they also manage these mangroves, and also they are not just managing their livelihoods, they are also in turn mitigating the impact of cyclones and flood risk as well. Eco DRR is a sustainable management, conservation, and restoration of ecosystems to reduce the disaster risk with the aim of achieving sustainable and resilient development. So it's like win-win situation. National Disaster Management Authority identifies mangrove forests as a suitable mechanism for ecological securities of coastal areas while being beneficial for the livelihoods of coastal population. And mangrove of India account for roughly 5% of world's mangrove population. So we have a huge population of mangroves. And other eco-DRR measures include developing bioshields, shelter belt, plantations, coastal floodplain management, etc. Now, Cyclone Risk Mitigation Project, NCRMP. The Government of India introduced this NCRMP to address the issues of cyclone risk in the country, especially in the coastal areas. It aims at taking a suitable structure and non-structural measures to mitigate the impact of cyclones in the coastal states as well as the UTs of India. Based on the frequency and occurrence of this cyclones, the population and the existing institutional mechanism of disaster management, cyclone vulnerable states are divided into two categories. Category 1, that are highly vulnerable states such as Andhra Pradesh, Gujarat, Odisha, Tamil Nadu, and West Bengal. Category 2, those are lower vulnerable states such as Maharashtra, Goa, Karnataka, Kerala, Daman and Diu, Pondicherry, and Lakshadweep, Andaman and Nicobar. So phase 1 began with Andhra Pradesh and Odisha in 2011. This cyclone risk mitigation project has following objectives as per 2010. To improve early warning dissemination system, because it's as I told earlier that it's the major important part of it to mitigate the cyclone risk. And enhance the capacity of local communities to respond to the disasters, to improve access to emergency shelters, evacuation, and protection against windstorm, flooding, and storm surge in the high-risk areas, to strengthen the disaster risk management capacity at central and state as well as the local level in the order to enable mainstreaming of disaster mitigation measures into the overall development agenda. There are 4 components of NCRMP. These are as component A, early warning dissemination system. Component B, cyclone risk mitigation infrastructure. As component C है technical assistance for national state level capacity building and knowledge creation. Component D है project management and implementation support. Now the case study on cyclone Amphan. This cyclone came in May 2020 and it was originated in Bay of Bengal. The cyclone was originated as a deep depression in the Bay of Bengal and became most severe cyclonic storm after 1999. This cyclone hit was the worst after 1999 cyclone, super cyclone. And also we were already facing this pandemic situation, so it was very difficult to maintain social distancing, the cleanliness measures. So it was like the dual challenge for the government to maintain these manage this situation. Prediction was given by IMD, and NDMA rapidly began to meet and prepare every bulletin that was released on the calamity on the social media, because people need to be aware so that they can evacuate on the time. NDMA launched an awareness campaign in the states of Odisha, West Bengal through television, radio dissemination, do's and don'ts. So yesterday someone was asking about the role of media. So this is the role of media in managing the disasters. They help in disseminating the information to the people. The response preparedness as well as the evacuation plan prepared by NDRF. NDRF informed that 25 NDRF teams have been deployed in the ground, while 12 others are ready. If they need more, they'll be sent immediately. By 17th May of 2020, the Odisha Disaster Rapid Action Force and National Disaster Response Force, they were pre-positioned before the cyclone came. They were all prepared and all set. The first responders were also provided PPE kits because pandemic situation. A diving team from the Indian Navy was also sent to the Kolkata to aid relief efforts, and ships from the Navy placed in standby for relief operations. Cyclone Amphan was peaked on 18th of May, and it reached up to 240 km per hour to 260 km per hour wind speed. So it was a very catastrophic cyclone. And it made it landfall in Digha, West Bengal region on 20th of May, and as a very severe cyclonic storm with a speed of 155 to 165 km per hour. Over 2 million people were evacuated in India, and approximately from 40,000 from Sagar Island and approximately 50,000 from Sundarbans, because that was the area of landfall. And social distancing norms were also followed. So despite being the strongest tropical storm to strike the Ganges Delta since the 2007 cyclone Sidr, the powerful and deadly cyclone Amphan was India's preparedness. It contained the life loss in just double digits, 1998, and that was mostly due to electrocution and collapse of homes. The mass destruction caused by the cyclone due to damage to the rice paddies and vegetables and sesame fields, along with major power cuts in the area affected. And also, it is the most expensive cyclone. It was, I just read a few days ago. So you can see the damage caused by this cyclone. So while natural disasters are alone has not something we can control, but India's readiness and response to Cyclone Amphan during COVID-19 era, it proved that we are an adaptable and forward-thinking disaster-prepared nations, which has once again emerged stronger when posed with challenge. So when someone asked yesterday that whether we are prepared for these war situations, biological war situations, I would say we are now prepared enough, because we were not prepared and we have adapted and we have this potential. We will be able to face this challenge if we are given. I hope not. The livelihood of hundreds of locals and their families have been saved. This has certainly proven one thing, that communities can come together and become one, and when faced with the calamities. It is so, as while there is life, there is hope. So with these words, I will close my presentation. Thank you very much for your patience listening. Nazia ma'am, over to you. Hello.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. Such a wonderful presentation. May I read out one question raised by Rafi Sheikh, madam? Please, ma'am, clarify that is possible to track tropical cyclones by any satellite?
IMD is tracking them by satellites only. I don't know the names of the satellites, because today Pawan Kumar Joshi sir will talk about them. But yeah, we are using satellites to track them. Remote sensing and GIS. Yes.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Our next session is by VK Dhawan sir. And it's my privilege to introduce VK Dhawan sir. Dhawan sir has worked as scientist in silviculture and forest management division of the Forest Research Institute, Dehradun, for the last 35 years. He has rich experience in forest management and silviculture, especially forest fire management. Post-retirement, presently he is working as consultant in the FRI and regular faculty of forestry in FRI University and guest faculty in various forest academies and other private forest colleges across the country. And I welcome you, sir, to address the participants on forest fire and management. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, madam, for your nice introduction. It's being honored for me for inviting me for this webinar. I am very thankful to the organizing members of Hyderabad department and NITM officers really for organizing such a wonderful webinar on disaster management and preparedness and mitigation, etc. So my today's presentation is on forest fire management. You know, forest fire is also one of the disasters, as is stated by the NDMA, that as far as the India is concerned, it is disasters of man-made. It is, but in some cases, it is happening naturally also. So, am I audible?
Yes, sir,
Am I
audible.
audible?
Yes, sir, audible, sir. Please continue.
So, so I am sharing a presentation on forest fire management in India.
Hello, sir.
Is
Not yet started, sir. It is starting, sir.
Hello, Dhawan sir.
I think sharing, yes.
Acha, okay. Sir, maybe you can send your presentation to Ravindra sir.
Yes, sir. Please send it to me. Okay, my mail ID is in chat
I
box,
will.
sir.
आप सुन पा रहे हैं सर? ओके, मैं आपको मेल भी कर देती हूँ, वो मैसेज कर देती हूँ.
Why it is not?
व्हाट्सएप चेक कर लीजिए एक बार सर.
Is-
It's not coming.
It is showing on my screen that I don't know.
Yes sir, kindly mail this presentation to the ID, Ravindra sir's ID. I have texted you on WhatsApp. Please check.
Okay.
Sir, it's visible now.
It's visible.
Yes. आपका वीडियो ऑन है क्या?
हाँ, वीडियो में स्टॉप करूँ?
हाँ, वीडियो स्टॉप कर दीजिए अपना और प्रेजेंटेशन फुल स्क्रीन मोड पे करके आप रन कर सकते हैं. सर, हेलो धवन सर, इसको फुल
हाँ हाँ
स्क्रीन पे कर दीजिए.
बोलिए। नहीं हो रहा है।
क्या सर, आपकी आवाज ना कट रही है बहुत ज्यादा.
मेरे विजिबल नहीं हो रहा है यहाँ पर स्क्रीन के ऊपर. इट इज नॉट विजिबल ऑन.
Okay, sir, you can drag these. You are seeing on your screen. You can drag them on side. Sir, you send your presentation to Ravindra sir. Mail your presentation to Ravindra sir.
ओके
He will
ओके.
run this presentation and you can speak.
Hello, Ravindra sir.
ఎస్ టెల్ మీ.
మీకు మెయిల్ పెట్టారా వాళ్ళు?
పెడుతున్నారు, ఇంకా రాలేదు.
ఓకే సార్.
ఐ థింక్ సార్ నెట్ వర్క్ ఇష్యూ ఉంది ఏదో.
Dhawan sir,
Yeah.
if you are needing some time, we can start with our next session. Is it fine, sir?
Yeah, you can continue with the speaker.
Joshi sir, Professor Joshi.
I think something is wrong with maybe network problems.
Sir, you mail your presentation to Ravindra sir.
Okay.
Meanwhile, we ask Professor Joshi sir. I will call him.
I sent my presentation to Ravindra sir. Chilki?
सर मिल गया सर, हम लोग शेयर कर रहे हैं इधर से. हेलो शिल्की मैम.
Yes, ma'am. Hello.
हाँ, धावन सर का प्रेजेंटेशन रविंद्र सर को मिल गया अगर मैम.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
హలో సార్.
हेलो धावन
రావణ్
सर.
సార్.
Dhawan sir.
हाँ शिल्की बोलो. हाँ. Okay. Am I audible?
సార్ ఎస్ సార్, ఆడిబుల్ సార్. Yes, sir. Audible, sir.
Yes, sir. Kindly begin with your presentation. धवन सर, आपका वॉइस बहुत कट रहा है. एक्चुअली वी कैन नॉट अंडरस्टैंड. आप कुछ कर सकते हैं इसके बारे में, अगर कर पाए तो. सर वी कैन नॉट अंडरस्टैंड.
Voice is clear?
नो सर.
But, uh,
Madam, if it is possible, please join through mobile, madam. Okay, I think there is network issue of the sir.
Sir, Dhawan sir, you can join with your mobile if that has better connectivity.
Otherwise, because just Joshi sir is ready, then we will start with Joshi sir session. After that, later on we can take the sir session. Is it okay, ma'am?
Okay, sir. Okay, we can begin with Joshi sir's presentation if he is ready.
Okay.
हाँ शिल्पी बोलो. अच्छा, ठीक है मैम. हाँ, जोशी सर का करा दीजिए. हाँ, मुझे लगता है नेटवर्क में दिक्कत आ रही है. कभी तो आवाज कट रही है, कभी वीडियो नहीं. हाँ, कुछ नेटवर्क में यहाँ
हेलो
पर भी
जोशी
आपकी
सर.
आवाज जो है ना ब्रेक हो रही है.
रविंद्र सर.
Yes, Bhaja, tell me.
జోషి సార్ నెంబర్ కలవట్లేదు సార్, ఒకసారి ట్రై చేయండి.
మేడం ట్రై చేస్తున్నారు, సిల్కీ మేడం.
హలో.
Dear participants, sorry for this inconvenience caused.
Chilki?
Sir,
Chilki?
sir, are you
Am I
audible, sir?
audible?
Now audible? Yes, now audible, sir.
Or you can, yes, you can start presentation, please.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Yes, it is clear. Am I audible now?
Audible, sir.
Okay, okay. So forest fire, about 50% of the forest area of India, forest area is prone to the forest fire as far as the Forest Survey of India concerns. About 10, 15 to 20,000 forest fire reported in India every year. It affects huge loss of property and life, especially in the Himalayan and northeastern states. You might have noticed that in the Himalayan regions, in the winter season, especially in this season also, some forest fire reported in the higher altitude of the Himalayan regions. You also notice that the reasons of the fire during the winter season is dryness of the forest due to as the rainfall did not occur before the winter seasons, especially in the Himalayan regions, and dry fuels is responsible for burning of the forest area. You might also have noticed that in the last few decades and in the last years, we have seen that a lot of fire occurred in Australia and Amazon of the South American regions, and also in Californian forest fires. Now, why are these fires now exaggerating day by day? Just because of the increasing temperature of the earth. You already know about the last during the last 100 years, the temperature of earth is increased by 1 degree Celsius, more than maybe more than 1 degree Celsius also, and this increase of temperature is responsible for increasing the incidences of the forest fire because of the dryness of the fuels which lying on the forest floor. So that is responsible for the of fire to be happen in those particular area. In India, next please, next please, Ravindra. Yeah. If you see the causes of the forest fire uh, in India, it is 95% it is man-made due to intentional burning of forest floor by villagers to get fresh grass, mushrooms, clearing of the land. Somewhere we have seen in the Himalayan region and northeastern states. There are in the northeastern states, the fire happened due to the shifting cultivation. It's a kind of cultivation by the people when the people fallow the land and they migrate to other land, which is being provided by the government, state government, for the poor people. So they clear land and they burn the land for their raising of their agricultural crops. And in Himalayan regions, the villagers want that fresh grass should arise during the rainy season. So before rainy season, they put fire on the old grass because old grass is not palatable for their cattle. So they want that new grass should come up during the rainy seasons, which will be very palatable for the their goats, sheep, and the cattle. So they burn the old grass in the Himalayan regions, especially in the Chid zone and other areas. Burning of wild grasses or undergrowth in search of animal. Sometimes it is this kind of hunting practice is was it is a very old practice when people burn the forest area in search of animals. They hunt animals so that animal may is scared and they go away from the fire, and easily the hunting man catch the animals. Attempt to destroy stumps of illicit felling. Sometimes illicit fellings are done by the mafia people, and they burn they burn the stumps so that the proof may be vanished. Then you might have also heard about the Tirumala forest fire in the last decades that happened, were triggered by the red sender smugglers in Tirumala Hills in 6 years ago. We have seen that Tirumala Hills was totally full of for forest fire, and it was triggered by the red sender smugglers. Then forest fire to the collection of anti-aphids like tendu leaves, mogwa flowers, honey, etc. People, especially in the Bihar, Odisha, some parts of Andhra Pradesh also, there is the tendu leaves. From the tendu leaves, bidi is made up, and mogwa flowers. The people go and collect mogwa flowers, and under the mogwa flowers and under the tendu trees people burn the floor of the trees, beneath the trees, so that they can collect flowers and tendu leaves easily from the cleared areas. So sometimes the fire happen in that particular area also. Then unintentional fires, unextinguished campfires of travelers, laborers, camp of roadside charcoal pioneers, they also responsible for making the fire. Next, please. Then next, please. Next, please. So if you see the classification of the fire, so we have generally three kinds forest fire occur in India. One is ground fire. The smoke emits from the grounds. Uh, Fire is not visible on the surface of the forest floor. It is only the smoke emits from the underground portion because the litter is burned, because litter is not visible but litter burn and fire happen inside the litter, so only smoke is visible. Then another kind of fire is surface fire. This is the most common fire, maximum 90% forest fire, that is of surface fire. On surface, it happens on the surface fire and it is visible on the forest floor. It burns the shrubs and herbs, important shrubs and herbs of the floor of the forest floor. Then third kind of fire is ground fire. It is very dangerous kind of fire when high wind speed, there is high wind speed prevails in particular area. So fire, sometimes surface fire may reaches to crown area of the trees due to prevailing of the high wind. So that is responsible. So the crown fire may takes place from one tree to other also at a very faster rate. So it may be called as wildfire. It is very dangerous and damage to all the biodiversity of a particular area. Next, please. Next, please. As I told you that forest fire is a good servant but a bad master. Actually, forest fire, if we see that how it is a good servant, sometimes the fire is advantages for the forest ecosystem because it favors for regeneration of certain species like teak is such a species. The teak seed is very hard coated seeds, so we have for regeneration, its coat should be softened enough. So under the fire, the coat of the seed is softened and it regenerates easily on the forest floor. And as far as the pine is concerned, under the burning conditions, under the high temperature of the fire, the pine cones burst. After bursting the pine cones, the seeds comes out from the pine cones and they start regenerating. So it helps somewhere it is helping in regeneration of certain species which like that high temperature should be there for the regenerating of the particular species. Then remove weeds, kills insects and disease of forest floors, whatever the insect and diseases are there, and various kind of insects are killed by influence of the fire. Then clean the forest floor for debris. Somewhere debris is also there in the forest, so that is burned, and the forest floor is cleaned from the debris. Then open it up for sunlight for establishment or regeneration. You know that regeneration is possible whenever canopy is removed. So establishment of regeneration is very important factors for regenerating a particular forest. So when they get the sunlight due to opening of the canopy or opening of the shrubs and adjoining flora, so it will enhance the regeneration. Nourishes soils, allows established trees to grow stronger and healthier. Then somewhere the small fire helping in nourishing soils. It build the nutrients of the soil, like it enhance the nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium of the soil. So it helps in increasing the soil nutrient also. But it should be under control. Then clears heavy brush, leaving room for new grasses, herbs, and shrubs that provide food and habitat for many wild animal species. Actually, in the wild areas where the national parks and sanctuaries, it is a management prescriptions of the national parks and sanctuaries that they burn the old grass, so the new grass will be most palatable for the animals. Then forest fire is disaster. That was the advantage of the fire. Now how the forest fire impact on the ecosystem of the forest and life and properties of the people. Next, please. Impact of the forest fire, wildland, urban interface, threats to our life and properties. People want to live near the forest area. Nowadays, many people are building their houses just adjoining to the forest, because they want the aesthetic value of that particular area, but they don't know that when the fires occurs, the fire may damage the lives and properties of the people. Especially, you might have noticed and you might have seen in some video footage of Californian forest fire, and in other areas of the countries, that a lot of houses were burned, damages, and many of the people were killed due to forest fire, which are very close to the forest areas. Next. Then damage to the standing trees. So there are in our forest ecosystem, there are trees. Some trees are withstand the fires. Some trees live after forest fire also. For example, in case of cheat pine, in case of pine trees resins kind of tree, which comes out from the fire. In the left side of the screen, you will see that the green leaves coming out after the fire that happened in the area, just because the tree withstand the fire. And in these photographs, you'll see that the regeneration is damaged due to occurrence of the fires. Then the damage, it also damaged to the seed bank. Then the soil, it also creates the soil erosion, just because the ground vegetation is vast due to burning of the vegetation. So it may lead to the soil erosion. Next, please. Yeah, damage to protective power of the forest. All the ground vegetation is burned, and when the ground vegetation is burned, so the protective power of the forest is also damaged. So it may lead to flood also. So sometimes because there is no vegetation, so if there is no vegetation, so it may be prone to the forest, prone to the flood. The damage to the wild animals, the large animals like tiger, leopard, elephants, bisons run away fast during the occurrence of wildfires. The loss of food and wildlife habitat due to fire increases the incidence of man-animal conflicts. Whenever the fire happened in the forest area, especially in the mountains area, where the animal and man conflicts started increasing due to that particular forest fire happen in the particular area. Birds' nests destroy and their young ones are killed. Next, please. Damage to recreation and scenic value of the landscapes. Landscape is damaged due to fire. All the trees are burned, and you will see that the aesthetic value is decreased. Next. If you see the fire environment, so there are three factors which are responsible for the fires. One is fuel. If fuel is there, fuel is a kind of dry leaves and litters which are lying on the forest floors. If fuel is there on the floor or the forest, so sometimes fire may happen. Then if oxygen is also necessary for the fire to happen and the heat. So we have three kinds of temperature, air, and fuel. If you check one of them, so the fire will check. If you check the fuel from the forest, then the fire will not happen. If you check the air, the fire will check. And if you check the temperature, if the temperature is low, the fire will not happen. So the fire environment has the three major factors, and this is the kind of map which is showing the vulnerable districts of India, moderately vulnerable, less vulnerable, and high vulnerable areas. You will see that this kind of map is prepared on the basis of the past data collected by the Forest Service of India, and the most of the regions in India are northeastern regions and lesser Himalayan regions, and some parts of Madhya Pradesh and Andhra Pradesh also, some parts of Bihar and Odisha. Next, please. Then methods and tactics to control fires in India. So as far as the method of control is concerned, in disasters we have studied that preparedness and mitigation. These are the two components of how disaster management. So in fire also, in forest fire also, we should prepared our activities before fire may happen. So we have different strategies of preparedness. That is approval of district management plan before onset of the fire seasons. The district magistrate call all the sister departments, multi departments like NDMA, SDMA people, some part, JFM committees, and others members of the forest department to come together, and they make a forest fire management plan of a particular forest divisions. The awareness generation program and capacity building. Next, please. Now, awareness generation program for the villagers is organized by the forest department people and SDMA people. So they go inside the village and they call villagers on a particular point, and they guide about the how they control the fire whenever the fire happened, and what are the methods of control of fire. Next. This is the kind of posters, placard, and leaflets and brochures can be circulated to the villagers and to the travelers also. Some kinds of signboards should be erected on the roadsides so the people may not lit the fire. Next. Then before fire seasons, we should see that uh, the condition of the fuel on the inside the forest. So we have to check the fuel. If we check the fuel, the fire may not happen. For checking the fuel, controlled burning should be necessary. Under the strict supervision, the controlled burning process should be done. It is the method of clearing the fuel from the forest floor, where the people in the first apartments we make the fire lines. The fire lines are the barriers so that the fires may not cross from one place to other place. So it's a kind of barrier. So barriers should be cleared enough. The fire line should be clear enough. If the fire lines are not cleared, then fire may be happened at a very faster speed and it may spread in vast area. So to confine the fire in a particular area, we should make fire lines, and fire lines should be cleared before fire seasons. So this is a process which is showing on your screen. Next, please. Now this is the process of controlled burning. It is burning of fuel on the forest floor in presence of strict supervisions. The people the people who are standing in the uniforms are from they are the NDRF people, they are the force people, and they are making the controlled burning for to burn the forest floor and fuel, reducing the fuel before the fire season. Next. Inside the forest areas, uh, forest department also constructed lookout tower or watch towers on the size of the watch tower may be 100 feet to 150 feet. You might have noticed in the forest compartments that the people, the watchers, they climb on the top story of the watchtower, and it watches, detects the fire or smokes that comes out from the very distance area, and it communicates to his team members that such and such area is burned, and you should ready for the compacting of the fire. Next. Now, as far as the detection is concerned, that particular is a, I am talking about the preparedness of the fires. Now, detection means earlier we were detecting fire from the visibility of the ocular estimation through watchtowers, and somewhere ocular estimation was there. But nowadays we are following a new method, that is, a remote sensing method of fire detections. It's a real-time monitoring of the fire through satellite-based remote sensing. The method was developed by the Forest Service of India, and we are following this method since 2005. But now it is very advanced, techniques of real-time detection of the fire. In India, we are using the USA satellites. USA satellites, they are the orbital satellites, and satellites pass the signal to the NRSC Hyderabad. From there, NRSC Hyderabad, the NRSC Hyderabad sends signal to FSI. Then FSI now having facilities of processing of the data. So what the Forest Service of India does, that it process the data which is sent by NRSC Hyderabad, and then that particular process data is sent to divisional forest officers of the respective forest divisions, that such and such area is burning now in, so that you should ready to extinguish the fire. that particular signal can also send to state forest nodal officers. Every state forest department is having state forest nodal officers in their departments. So even we can also receive the SMS signals from the FSI. Somebody can register himself or herself in the FSI websites, and from there you can get your the signals of the real-time signals of the forest fire happening in your state also, even in your district, in your place. The coordinates are given by the FSI that such and such coordinates is burning, so you can rush for extinguish the fire, or the team can be rushed to that particular area. Then the feedback is sent to FSI by the divisional officers or the range officers of the SFD nodal officers, saying that such and such losses is happening due to forest fires. So that losses is sent to the FSI, and that losses is sent to NRSC for decision support system, so that it makes the decision support system that particular area is burned, how much area is burned, how much biodiversity is lost, so that you may get the information from NRSC about the losses that was happened due to fire in a particular area. Next. Sometimes we are every forest department is having master control rooms in every range. Many of the forest divisions are having master control rooms where the uh, uh, the master control room get the information of the climatic variables, and those climatic variables now change into into the the vulnerability of the fire that could be happened in a particular day, in a particular time. So that is communicated to the forest fire team of the particular range of the divisions, so that they should ready for combating any kind of fire in a particular area. Please, next. Next, please. Next, please. Yeah, this is a master control rooms now. It has the Nestrov index uh, that release the information bulletin every day at 2 p.m. and providing the task detail of each and every range of the crew station, that the crew station should be ready enough for tackling the fire in a particular area. Next. Uh, Now, as I told you that in fire environment, so there are three factors. If you check one of the factors, so the fire may not happen in a particular forest area. So in this picture, uh, um, this picture is from the Uttarakhand Himalayas, where the pine needle is responsible for happening of the fire in a vast area in the Himalaya. Because the pine needle contains the alcoholic contents. The alcoholic contents in the pine needle is very vulnerable of the fire. It's a kind of petroleum products. So anybody lit fire just near to the needles, so it catches fire immediately, and fire spread at at very high speed. So if we check the fuel, if we check the needles, if we collect needles and we convert the needle into biomass, this kind of biomass we can use for production of electricity, for generation of electricity. Nowadays we are using, nowadays the Uttarakhand government or Uttarakhand forest department is using this kind of technology of how biomass is converting into powers, into generation of the electricity. So this we are trying to safeguard the forest biodiversity from the fire. Next, please. So this kind of hazard, this is hazardous material of the fire. So this hazardous material is being collected by the people. So they get something from the agencies which is involved in generating the electricity from this kind of biomass. So people are collecting, so they are getting something in the form of per day wages, so that they are the agency is converting the biomass into electricity and others making other products. Next. Now the people are collecting the needles from the forest area. Next. Now, the needles are not, we don't burn needles directly for making the gases, because those gases will be a kind of fuel for generating electricity. So first, we have to convert those pine leaves or the needles into briquettes, because they are slow combustion. So under slow combustion, the gases are formed, and those methane, nitrous oxides, etc. gases, these are formed, and these are used in burning of the burning of chulas, and burning of boilers for generating electricity. Next. Now this biodigesters, gasifier, it's a pro-community energy drive, biogas used as fuel and fresh generation of electricity. Somewhere it is used by the villagers as a fuel, and also generation of electricity. 100 kilowatt power station required 4,500 kg pine needles per day for 24 hours. This is the statistics of 100 kV power station required 4,500 pine needles, and in 24 hours. So this much of pine needles required for generating the 100 kilowatt of the power. Next. The after burning after burning of the material, after burning of the briquettes, which is made up of from the pine needles, can be used for making organic compost. So this organic compost is very useful for the villagers. And they use this organic composting for their fields, agriculture fields. So these pine needles can be used in making the briquettes, in making of the organic compost, in generating electricity for the fuel purpose. So we are using biomass, which is hazardous material of the forest fire, using in different making different products, and it is being used by the Uttarakhand people. Next. Now, the mitigation methods and tactics during fire, when the fire happened, that was about the preparedness. That how we before onset of the fire season, we should ready with those activities. But when the fire happened, before happening of the fires, we should having the logistic requirements like manpower, hand tools. We should use firefighting equipments. We should have vehicles, fireproof clothes, gloves, drinking waters. Next, please. Now this is the kind of kinds of equipments we are using for combating the fires. We have two kinds of fire racks, nail type and the pack types. These are the two types of racks we are using for clearing the fuels from the fire, the cutting the fire lines whenever the fire happens. These two kinds of racks are tied with the adjustable rod which you are seeing. And this adjustable rod is a stretchable kind of rods. We can increase the length of the rod and decrease the length of the rod according the situations. And one is fire booms, which is used in beating the fires. And we should have pothole also with the team members, because pothole is very useful for cutting of the branches and cutting of the wood in between. The burning wood and the burning, twigs are cut by with the help of the pothole. And then we have the fire beater when the fire extinguished or it is controlled. But sometimes we see on the forest floor that some coals are there, coals remains are there. So those coals can be these are the triggered materials. The fire happen after control also, due to presence of the coals. So the coals are uh, beat with the fire beater. This fire beater is also timed with the adjustable rod, and one torch should also be with the crew member, because this is very helpful, especially in the night season, in the night. Then there should be a 2 liter water bottle with the crew member. All these equipments can be kept inside the toolkit bag, which is tying on the back of the crew member. So each crew member can carry these tools along with the and keep in this toolkit bag. Next, please. Now, if the fire happened and it is a kind of surface fires, so we can cut the fire by making the fire line with the racks, as I discussed about the racks, which is used for cutting of the fire or the fuel. So on the way, on the right side, the fire is beaten by the locally made brooms. But I showed you the brooms which is used for the beating of the fires, and a line is made. So the fire may happen in a line, but it may not uh, forward to other side. So we cut the fire in a line, so that is called control line method. Next, then the area method, we contain the fire in a particular area. Whatever the fuel around the containment area should be removed, and the fire may contain in a particular area. The fire may not jump from one area to other. Next, please. So these are removing the fuel around the containment zone. The fuel is removed from the peripheral zone of the containment area, so that the fire may not come forward towards the crew members, or it may not cross the containment zone. Next, then the backfiring. When the fire is not controlled with the help of hand tools, so what should we do? Actually, this kind of fire happens in during the uh, high wind speed time, and when the period is very dry, and fire is a kind of wild, so it is next to impossible to control the fire with the help of the hand tools or the water. So what should we do in that particular case? uh, we have to make fire against the fire. We have to sacrifice some area for fire, some forest area for the fire, just because the sacrifice area, on the sacrifice area, the fuel is burned. Actually, method, our objective is to control the fuel. So on the way, when the fuel is burned due to making the intentional fires, the fire may not cross in that particular area where the fuel is burned. So that is called as backfiring or the counter firing, opposite to the direction of fires. It helps to control the wildfires. Next, please. So crew member is fighting the fire. Next. Now these are cutting the bushes which catch the fire. Next. Crew members are ready. Next. Now, somewhere in the plains area, in the tropical moist deciduous forest, in the tropical dry deciduous forest, uh, uh, crew members are using the water for extinguish fire. Next, using water with the help of the pumps. It is possible in the plain areas. Somewhere gliders are being used. We are in India. We are not using gliders and aircrafts. Next. This gliders gliding through aircraft. Next, this is sprinkling the water on the fire area with the help of aircrafts. The helicopter sortie sometimes is used. This kind of helicopter sorties we were using in 2016 in Uttarakhand forest fire. Next. Now the way forward, what are required to be done to manage the fire. Creation of forest fire research centers in each state collaborated with NRSC, FRI, and FSI. It is very important that there should be research centers in each states. Actually, we don't have any research forest fire research centers, even in FRI also, in somewhere in state also. So massive awareness to rural masses on importance of forest ecosystem and services, incentive to villagers in forest fire control. It is very necessary that we should aware people about the importance of the forest ecosystem. What are the forest ecosystem services that should be aware to villagers? Laws in terms of economics of ecosystem services and vulnerability of forest fires. So we have not done any study on the economic loss due to forest, ecosystem services like biodiversity and other ecosystem services. We are not still we are lacking the this kind of study. Preparation of forest fire danger rating model for each state. It is very necessary that each state should prepare forest fire danger rating models so that it gives the information about the highly vulnerable area which can be tackled easily. Strengthening of communication and monitoring system, improving transport and helicopter facilities. In some difficult areas like mountainous areas, it is very difficult for the crew member to reach the fire areas. So helicopters and the other through any air means we can check the fires. Providing facilities for water equipment, vehicles, tools, and protection kits for the crew members. It is very necessary that all type of logistic facilities are required. Piloting study for mitigation forest fire. We should start that which are the most important experiments and which are most important activities to control the fire. So we should start the piloting study in different forest area of the country. The study on effect of forest fire and climate change. We have not done any study that what are the impact of climate change on the forest fires. We are saying that the climate change is responsible for increasing the incidences of forest fire, but we are not come in conclusion that how the climate change is responsible. Capacity building and training of forest department and other stakeholders. Other stakeholders means the forest villagers, the fringe people which are living just near the forest area. They should be given kind of trainings that how the forest fire are controlled. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Such a detailed, wonderful presentation on fire forest management, sir. Sir, may I read out some questions raised in chat box, sir?
Yeah.
One question from Salim, sir. How can we reduce forest fires in our country? Is there a law or act to punish a person responsible for forest fire?
Yes, under Indian Forest Protection of 1927 law, there is a provision of punishing to anybody's who lit fire. Even people can't burn leaves and grasses also. So that is also under punishable offense. So this is there.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Sir, another question, sir. Respected
Yes,
sir,
yes.
please clarify what are the most recent approaches for the forest recovery assessment from remote sensing? This question is from Rafi Sheikh.
As per the remote sensing is concerned, we are using remote sensing in detection of the fire. Real-time fire detections or real-time, you can say real-time monitoring. The Forest Service of India is doing the real-time monitoring, and the real-time monitoring is passed on to every persons who want to register himself or herself in Forest Service of India websites. So he can or she can get the SMS on real-time monitoring of the fire. So it is very useful. People are using this, and one can get the actual location of the fire spot by getting the coordinates of a particular fire spot.
Okay, sir. Sir, is any modeling software for forest fire analysis and prediction from Rafi Sheikh, sir? This question also.
Uh, as I told you that we are not able to make the fire danger rating model. Fire danger rating model until unless we are not prepared. We can't say that which area are the most vulnerable area, especially as far as the forest fire is concerned. So, as I told you that we need to develop the danger rating models of each and every state should develop these kind of models. Yes, yes, ma'am.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for spending your valuable time. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, sir.
And sorry for disturbance. There is some problem of connections were there.
Yeah, some. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sir, good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning.
Uh, Now the session is by Dr. P.K. Joshi, sir, and I am very glad to introduce you, sir. Joshi, sir, is a professor in the School of Environmental Science, JNU, and has research interest and specialization in the areas of advanced analysis and modeling, landscape and vegetation analysis, include land use and land cover change, climate change, ecological studies, etc. Sir has also been Fellow National Academy of Agriculture Sciences in the year 2019 and Fellow Indian Geophysical Union in the year 2018. He is also a member of GIS Academy Council of India and Global Young Academy 2012 to till date. He won Young Scientist Platinum Jubilee Award in the year 2009 and National Academy of Science India and Young Scientist Medal in the year 2006, Indian National Science Academy. And I welcome you, sir, to address the participants on role of RS and GIS in DRR. Welcome, sir.
Hello, sir. Joshi, sir.
Hello, sir.
Sir, I think there is a network issue. I will operate my side, sir, your PPT. Hello, sir. Joshi, sir.
Hello. हाँ
ठीक है. Done. Okay, so okay, then I will not be able to show you some of the videos. Anyhow, can you press Control L? Mr. Ravindran, can you press Control L? Control L प्रेस कीजिए. नहीं, Control L.
Hello, sir. Okay, I will operate my side, sir.
You press Control L first.
Okay. Control L.
Control L दोनों इकट्ठा प्रेस करना है.
No, it is saying that leave event like that, sir. When I control L. Okay.
Okay, no problem. So anyhow, so what I will do is today I will talk to you on geoinformatics for disaster risk reduction, which will cover remote sensing, GIS, and the applications. So if you look at all around the globe, there are different kind of emergencies which are being talked about, and people are looking for some kind of quick ready-made tool which can provide them better understanding about what is happening. Next. Okay, so if you look at space technology, remote sensing, which is precisely said. So it is probably in 1946 for the first time, such type of photograph was taken, and the photograph which I am showing you, it is the first photograph which was taken back in 1946 from a satellite launched from Arizona, and then people thought we should be able to map, Earth resources. Next. So since then, we have such a wonderful time of space exploration. And in 1957, with Sputnik 1, everybody thought and this could be done very nicely. Today, if you see, there are 100 countries which have launched their own satellites, and out of those 115 are the countries which have launched vehicles. Like India is one of the topmost 2-3 countries which is able to launch vehicles. So if you see globally, nowadays you have somewhere 100 plus launches which keep on taking place every year. And today, if you try to see Google, you will find that there are 2000 plus active satellites which are there in the space, though there are other 3000 satellites which are just moving and which are not active. So these satellites could be broadly classified as meteorological satellites, Earth observation satellites, communication satellites, and global navigation satellite system. When we say global navigation satellite system, these are the GPS satellites. Communication satellites are one. in which, you are able to communicate from one location to another. If a match is there in Australia, you are able to see it here. From UK, you are able to transmit information. Earth observation are typically remote sensing satellites. These take the photograph of the Earth, whereas meteorological satellites are the one which gives you information on meteorology, rainfall, temperature, and those kind of processes. Next. So today, most of the countries, they are having their own set of satellites. So as I said, Earth observation satellites. So those are the polar satellites which move something like this. Your geostationary satellites are stationary to the Earth. And your R&D satellites are again another set of satellites which are kept roving around. And then you have GPS satellites. Your geostationary are somewhere at the altitude of 36,000. GPS are at the altitude of 20,200, and remote sensing satellites are at the altitude of somewhere 1,000 kilometers. Next. So like in many of the things United Nations has actually talked about. So in space-based information system also, and specifically for disaster management and emergency response, UN has a program called UN Spider, United Nations platform for space-based information for disaster management and emergency response, which ensures that data is quickly provided to all the countries in case of disaster without any kind of hindrances. It basically helps and works as a bridge, and then subsequently it facilitates this kind of thing. Next. So when we talk about remote sensing, GIS, GPS, and technically it is called GNSS. So it appears to be very costly affair, but large areas you should be able to see, and you should be able to see such kind of things very quickly. So such special information becomes very effective and very economical when it is done in operational level. Next. So today we have satellites which can give you special resolution of as good as 25 centimeters. It means things of the size of 25 by 25 centimeters could be detected by satellites. It is Cartosat 3 which is coming from India. Otherwise you have WorldView 3 which is providing you 30 centimeters. And then you have 2 meter, 5 meter, 20 meter, 30 meter, different type of special resolutions, depending on what you want to do. A urban planner is more interested in, local studies of 1 meter, sub-meter kind of special resolution. A regional planner is more interested in 70 meters, 36 meter. And a global scientist is interested in 1 kilometer or 4 kilometer, that kind of special resolution. Next. Then you have GIS, a system which takes care of these kind of data sets. So any data set which has a special context, it means where you can know the things with respect to location. So that could be seen using your, that could be handled in your GIS system. So data set is generally stored as raster or vector. So you have raster data set which are pixelated, like the photograph which you take from your mobile phone. Same way satellite also take the photograph, that is raster data. Or when you draw, so that is your vector data. So those kind of data sets are generally used in GIS. Next. Then you have a wonderful instrument called GPS, Global Positioning System, Global Navigation Satellite System, through which, you have satellites which are moving around the Earth. And if you are standing anywhere on the Earth, simply switch on this instrument called GPS, and it links with these satellites and give you the coordinates where you are standing, and also altitude from mean sea level. Now, most of the countries, including India, has come with their own set of GPS satellites. And then, it is much better to do today with higher accuracy. Next. So, so you have satellite communication, you have Earth observation, and you have GPS. So people use them as, in integration. It's just not that you will be using Earth observation and not GPS, or you will use communications but not Earth observation. So we try to mix and match and provide best information which is available. Next. So like this is example of tsunami which took place in 2004. Next. So if you look at of the same location, okay, there is some toggling anyhow. So so areas which are inundated, those could be seen. Like this is Kedarnath. So you have this in a regular period, and when it got washed away because of heavy rainfall and flood type of condition. So those kind of things could be very quickly seen. You can see that this riverbed has broadened over here in 1 and 2. This all is washed out. So such kind of things could be seen. Next. So then, if you look at World Trade Center, so one of the terrorist activity which happened and which has, alarmed the entire globe. So these are the twin towers which were there through which the aeroplane has passed. And this is a photograph taken after 72 hours. So seeing the smoke, dust which is over there, you can make out the magnitude of disaster which was over there. Next. So just now, that gentleman was talking about forest fire. So this is how through satellite data you get to see. This is the data which is pre-fire. This is the data which is post-fire. So all which is burnt, there the color has changed. This all area is burnt. So what I can do in my computers, I can quickly give a training set or a sample to my computer of the burnt pixels, and it tells me how many pixels have actually burnt. Like what you see over here, this all yellow orange color, these are all burnt areas. So you know the size of each pixel and you can convert that into area. So there are many of the satellites which are nowadays being used for forest fire monitoring and almost in real time. Next. So somebody was asking if it could be modeled. Yes, that is very much possible. You can do forest fire risk modeling. And I am showing you an example which was done in 1994. So since then, such kind of models are available. It is only up to people to use them. From remote sensing, you can make forest type map, forest density map. From there, you can generate fuel map. From topography, you can have elevation, slope, aspect, and you can have the impact of these things. And then you can take human disturbances, right, settlements, roads and all, and you can create accessibility map. And when you integrate all these things in GIS, they give you something forest fire risk map. Next. So your maps look something like this, you can rank that these are the areas where forest fire chances are very high or risk is very high. These are the second one, third one, and fourth one. So using such type of maps, you can make the fire lines. You can clear the areas so that fire don't move from one location to another location. And this is from Dehradun only, Rajaji National Park, very close to Forest Research Institute. And so such type of databases are available, and many a times, people use them. And there are some of the states which are very active, like Andhra Pradesh is very active, Karnataka is very active, Chhattisgarh is very active, and they prepare and use such type of databases very frequently. Next. What more you can do is, if you know where the forest fire has occurred, there are modeling tools which are available. If you put slope, aspect, land use map, wind direction. So with time, the fire has started at 11 o'clock. Actually, the satellite passes at 10:30 from the surface of the earth. So you get information somewhere around 10:30, 11 o'clock where the active fires are. Then using this modeling, you can actually see at 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, up to 9 o'clock I have modeled. And you can actually see how the forest fire is spreading. So we developed this model for hilly states like part of Uttarakhand and flat states like part of Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan, just to see how nicely our model is working. And if you know the fire occurrence which comes from your satellite data, using such type of tools, you can very nicely and quickly model the movement of forest fire. And then checking that and mitigating that is almost real-time operation. So such type of tools and technologies are available, like remote sensing can detect it. Using GIS, you can model it and you can see where it is moving. Now technology has moved very fast. Nowadays people are using artificial intelligence and some kind of very local specific sensors are being made, which are very cheap, say somewhere around 250 rupees. and you can put it in different locations in your forest areas, and they can quickly assess the rise in temperature and communicate to you. And then in real time, such type of modeling could be done. Next. Then, when you have disasters in agriculture areas, like this is a pre-hailstorm image and this is the post-hailstorm. So after the hailstorm, you can see where all, the impact of hail has affected the agriculture crops. Then you put your cadastral map, and with high resolution data, nowadays making cadastral map is very easy. So you put cadastral map and you know whether it is severe affected, moderately affected, or slightly affected. Then you can distribute the compensation to the people. And then there are bank accounts. If you call it DBT, direct benefit transfer, you actually know the land holdings of individuals, and they have their bank account, and you can directly put the compensation to them. Next. So in urban areas also, when you have very dense settlements, so those kind of things could be mapped. And because of high density, there is a rise in land surface temperature, ambient temperature, which causes many different kind of diseases, and all new kind of diseases, including different influenza, fever like dengue. They all are coming in urban areas. Next. What we see through these satellite data set is the locations where temperature is rising. And if you know the areas where temperature is rising, you can do some nature-based solutions over there so that temperature goes down and microclimate could be managed. Next. Not only this, if you have road network, you can also map, because of intensive urbanization, the areas where urban flooding might take place. Like we modeled it with a 93% of roads which could be very accurately identified which were flooded because of the heavy rainfall. Then we tested this for Bangalore, we tested this for many other cities, and now we know that we can actually measure the water depth in different roads. Next. Not only this, you can also see why such kind of flooding is taking place. So these blue boundaries, what you see, these were wetlands at one point of time. And now these all wetlands are covered with settlements. You all know, recently in Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, you had a huge amount of flooding. And when people were looking for why this flooding is taking place, that was basically that these wetlands, they get connected with some channels, and those all channels were converted into settlements. So such type of monitoring could be done. So then you can also do precursor, where what kind of disasters are there, where landslide takes place, where cyclone comes, where flooding takes place, or where drought takes place. Next. So what you can do, you can collect data on these multiple risks, or we call it multiple exposures, and then you can collect the sensitive information in terms of forest cover, mangrove or net zone area, population, protected areas. And then you can see how nicely those people have capacity. Can they communicate? Can they have open area? Are they literate? If you collect these all kind of data and integrate in GIS environment, next. You can actually map areas which have higher exposure because of multiple disasters and all, and where sensitivity is high because of the inherent characteristics, and then what kind of adaptation is there. Next. So basically you can generate up to village level, up to district level, such type of disaster vulnerability maps. And if the government uses this information, then they can mitigate many of the disasters. Like somebody is chatting, Salim is writing on chat box that why, if such technology is there, disasters are occurring. If you look at those developed countries, if there is a forest fire, very quickly they evacuate their areas and they move to some newer cities. And after 2-3 months, they come back. They actually know the locations where such kind of incidences can take place, and the very strong communication is there. And accordingly, they put their insurance policies so that compensations could be provided. We can't stop the hazard, but we can stop the conversion of hazard into disasters. So the people who rely on technology, they can minimize this conversion of hazard into disasters. Next. So just to give another example to him, what you can do, you can map each and everything, and then you can develop a good model using RSGIS to look into if there is a hazard, what kind of losses could be there and how those losses could be minimized. Next. So what we did for Delhi, for Connaught Place, for Narayana and for RK Puram. So we have mapped each and every house. See, these many flats are there. We also map what kind of occupancy is there, whether it is residential area, whether this is industrial area or mosaic of that or commercial area. Then we also measure the height of the buildings and number of stories which are there and the construction type, whether it is a brick made, stone made, concrete made. Next. So what you can do, looking at, in Delhi, generally we get, earthquake. So we looked earthquake over here. Then we found out that what kind of exposure is there. So you see these different colors. So it is saying in these areas, risk is very high. Here it is less. Here it is moderate. Here it is low. Next. Then we actually find for each and every house, we are able to find this. Next. Now, what we have done, we have developed a model wherein we know the hazard which is there, we know the vulnerability which is there. Each and every house is mapped, multi-story, and we also know the kind of disasters which can come. And in this case, we have actually looked at the earthquake. Next. So finally, if you click on any of the house, it tells you what kind of risk is there. So there are risk scores, and along with risk, it gives you the actual address of that. What is a pin code? What is a road name? This. So what we are saying over here, that we should insure each building, like you and I go for insurance, health insurance. So we look at our health report. So using remote sensing GIS, you can assess the health of each and every flat, and then determine what kind of insurance one should go. If it is very risky, it is certainly one should go for insurance. If risk is very less, you can go for lesser premium, but some kind of insurance could be done. So for any reason, if there is any hazard which is coming and you lose your asset, so through your insurance, you should be able to recover your, you can get the returns and rebuild it. This is what most of the developed countries do. You talk of California, you talk of Arizona, you talk of even areas near to Amazon and entire Europe. They get their assets very nicely evaluated and insurance is done. Next. So I'm very sorry. This is a video I thought I will show you. This is for Visakhapatnam, wherein we had mapped the urban flooding. We have modeled it and we have mapped each and every school, nursing home, police stations, malls, petrol pumps, and even power stations. And this video takes you through entire Visakhapatnam area and tells you which all area might get affected if there is heavy rainfall or if there is cyclone. So such type of assessments we have done for around 6-7 cities, and we have tried giving it to the respective municipality so that they can use such type of information. Next. Then people do it for mountains also. If you have glaciers and all, there is an organization called SASE which keeps on mapping such kind of things and look at, whether there is any change in the glaciers. Next. By knowing such changes in glaciers, you can actually see in downstream what kind of water volume is there, what kind of runoff is there. So in these all areas, alarms are given to local people that higher melting is taking place, your water level will increase, and there could be the higher chances of water coming in. So accordingly, they try managing their assets. Next. This is what globally people are talking about. For all small islands, people are talking about sea level rise. So this was again a wonderful video, but I couldn't run it. Very sorry for that. But it tells you how water is increasing in different islands and which areas where water is increasing. So all these kind of things are regularly monitored. So there was another question somewhere how you monitor these cyclones and all. So you have Indian satellite, there is a satellite called OceanSat. And in OceanSat, there is a stratometer which regularly monitors these cyclones and all. You can actually see the eye of those. Next. So this is how, all along the coast, people are monitoring sea level rise and water inundation. And with different simulations, you actually know which areas are highly vulnerable. All those which are appearing in red at different levels of water, there is a degree of vulnerability to these coastal areas. Next. So this is how you map, this is the shoreline which was there in 1970s, and now water has inundated, and shoreline in 2003. So such type of regular monitoring is done to see which areas are getting submerged, which islands are getting submerged, where all water level is increasing. So people are monitoring coastline shift. Next. Now in this pandemic, and this is the mosque, Makkah Mosque, and this is prior to pandemic, and this is in the time of pandemic. So you have such a high resolution data which is coming from XR images, wherein you can count the heads also. You can actually count how many people are there. That kind of, technology is there, and that kind of monitoring could be done. Next. So this is one study which has come from Harvard. What they have done in China, they have monitored all the hospitals in entire year of 2019. And then from their secondary sources, they have taken the health reports. And what they found, somewhere in August only, many people started visiting hospitals. And such kind of, monitoring is done. And then they say that this COVID, which was reported somewhere in December, actually in China, it was started in August by looking at high resolution data and people who are visiting hospitals and some of the reports for what kind of things they are visiting. So such kind of, unanswered questions could be looked at using high resolution data. Next. So here we all talk about social distancing and all. So there are tools using your mobile phone. People can actually see if few people than normal are accumulated there, like in these red areas, if more people than normal. So you can actually model such kind of movement of people and how. So there is something called as assisted GPS, which is used, and then you can identify the alert areas and then accordingly take the legal proceedings over there. Next. So even for individuals, like this is user 1, which is of 25 years, this is user 2 of 61 years. So you can actually see how much time one has spent at home, work, others. So even such type of mobile tracking is possible today, and one should be able to actually see how a disease might spread. I am not saying how it is spreading, it might spread. That kind of challenges could be looked at. Next. So this is how these dashboards are working. Like this dashboard is at the behest of Johns Hopkins University, and wherein for entire world they are regularly monitoring and giving you such type of values, where how many new cases have come, what kind of casualties have come. Next. And this is also happening in India, like you have this dashboard which is being controlled by Dataflix, and you are getting very clear-cut information on these kind of things. Next. So nowadays, if you look at this, technology is being used globally. Everybody is relying on this technology, and all countries, even if they are not able to launch their own satellites, they are relying on this technology and they are developing different type of applications and all. Next. NDMA keeps on looking at such kind of information and updating the information for common public. Next. At Hyderabad, NRSC, National Remote Sensing Center, they have developed a decision support system related to what we call it, for different disasters, and they keep on updating where flood, where drought, and those kind of things are taking place. You should visit this website regularly to see the different updates. Next. So what else could be done? Different type of apps could be developed. There are many, like one of the app, Arogya app, which is being used. We should try teaching these kind of topics even in subjects like sociology, geography. We should bring coloring books for kids. They can understand how remote sensing pictures are telling about disasters, forest fire, flooding, cyclones. Teachers should be trained about these kind of things so that this technology could be used very frequently. And this technology has a lot of potential which could be used. Next. So this was all. I'm very sorry. I'm not very used to somebody operating my slides. And there were 2-3 very good videos which I thought I will share with you. And then there is a shift in time. This again I don't like. I have another meeting at 12:15. They are pinging me. Anyhow, I will take some of the quick questions. Nazia ma'am, if you allow me, I can read from this chat box and answer it directly, if you don't mind. So
Yeah, thanks.
Rafi Sheikh is asking about, GPS under US military control. See, basically this GPS was started by Department of Defense of United States. And there were 2 codes. One was for the general public and one for the military purposes. So for long they were using it. But in 1998, when Clinton became the president of US, he said, no, we should use this for all civil purposes. Since then, this P code and C code concept is not there. It is being used by everybody for different purposes. But there is always a danger because it is a US military control. So they can always switch it off. Like when there was Iran-Iraq war, they had switched it off at that time. But now you should be happy that most of the countries, including India, China, Japan, now we have our own GPS satellites. So even if they switch off there, so India is having its own constellation called Navik. So we need not to depend on US GPS. One, it was resolved in 1998. Second, now most of the countries are having their own GPS. So don't worry for that. So Rafi Sheikh has also asked, is the COVID-19 outbreak affecting GPS operations? I don't understand this question, but to me, no, it is not affecting that. If I understand your question correctly. So there is no link between this. Rather, GPS can help us in tracking, outbreaks. You need a very good system, good questions to be asked to do that. There is Salim has asked very good question about Everest. Yes, China and Nepal recently, last week only, they have announced that Mount Everest has increased by 86 centimeters. Otherwise, we were talking about 8448. Now they say 8448.86 meter kind of height. But we are yet to qualify this because US has said in 1999, the height of Everest is not 48 meters, but 50 meters. So, but nobody accepted it. There is a international agency which looks at, such kind of thing and which keeps on talking about height issues. So it has to international height reference system. It has to be certified from there. Survey of India has its own way of doing it. Yet Survey of India has not said. USGS also qualifies this. So though Nepal and China has done it, but it is yet to be accepted. And there could be environmental reasons because Himalaya is the youngest mountain. It keeps on changing its height. There is estimate that it changes 5 millimeter to 1 centimeter per year. That kind of rise is always talked about in different parts of Himalayas. So there is no wonder that it can do. But let me tell you one more thing. In most of the world, US, Sweden, New Zealand, Australia, they had always monitored their mountains. And every time they have said those mountains are increasing their height. This is the first time any country has said the mountain has increased its height. So it is under question mark. Wait for a few more agencies to tell us this. And then Rafi is also asking, is GPS an integral part of modern? Yes, it is very integral part, and people are using it right from mapping, monitoring, and also evacuation exercises and all. Salim had asked that Amazon forest fire. Let me tell you, you can't stop any of the hazard. There is difference between hazard and disaster. Please look at these two terms. Hazard become disaster when you get into the hands of hazard. But if you can keep yourself away from hazard, then it doesn't become disaster. So we should try keeping ourselves away from that. And how we can do? Don't construct houses in the river beds. Don't construct houses in the slopey areas or risky areas. So that way we can do. Then Sandeep has asked how to use, it is a long story, how to use Naviken phone. Please look at, some YouTubes are there, and contact somebody at NRSC for that. But you can use it. Then Santosh is saying, is there any type of registration is needed to get certificates? I am ordered by our deputy commissioner to take participation. Oh my God, it is not for me. So sorry, I read it. So these were all the questions, Ms. Najia, which I could answer very quickly. I have another meeting which is scheduled. So that is the reason I moved very fast. So I thought I will be over by 12 o'clock. So I hope there is no further question.
Okay, thank you, sir. Such an informative presentation on role of RS and GIS in DRR. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, bye-bye to all. I'm very sorry. I have some other meeting to call with. Sorry.